How we doing, everyone, and welcome back to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Richie, and I brought a little bit of a crew here. We've got the two married guys on the bottom. As you can see, they're recording from their garages. Mr. Brett Bandick, Mr. Michael Zappy. Up above, we've got the two New York Giant fans, Mr. Idris Salam and myself. I'm your host, Richie. Got a lot of cool topics that we're going to be speaking on tonight. An important show to me today is my father's 5-year anniversary from when he passed away. So definitely got a couple of cool things I want to speak on towards the end of our show. UFC, we had quite the matchups in the octagon and in the ring. Virtual rapper, I'm going to let Idris smash on that one. He was a little perturbed with this. Got some week 1 revenge games. Aaron Boone on the verge of a meltdown. Why not? He manages the Yanks. Going to speak on some Knicks and some other NBA action. LeBron's final deal potentially. And we can't do a show without at least mentioning Idris's best friend, Mr. Kevin Durant.
Sir.
But without further ado, let's go over here. Let's start with this. Last night, man, Anthony Joshua. Brett thinks he won the fight. I don't share Brett's sentiments. It was a classic, instant classic. Two guys that are vying for position to kind of lure Tyson Fury out of his Tom Brady-like retirement. Brett, I'm going to let you start here, but you feel that Joshua won the fight, so I want to ask you why you feel he won the fight.
Yeah, I think he got hosed, man. I mean, he was consistent with the jabs and the body shots, the first 9 rounds. He made Usyk, kind of lean a couple times, fall over a few times. He was winded. He did what he was supposed to do. Usyk around probably about halfway through the 9th round and the whole 10th round going into 11th is when he started to finally come around and he started to fight back. My opinion, I think Anthony was a more consistent fighter, and he was on him the whole entire time. He didn't let off. He stayed on him. Like, I mean, he had him against the ropes more than a few times. It was just I think the scorecards were fucked up. I think the last scorecard was like 116 to 112 or 115 to 112.
And the one that it
was just stupid. Like, and they called it a split decision, but I don't know, man. I think Anthony won the fight. Like I said, I think he performed better. And he was on him he didn't let off. I mean, look at the body shots this guy had, dude. I mean, there was one liver shot. He almost put him on the freaking ground. And I think, it could easily went the other way. But the rage in the Red Sea is what they called it. I think it was the screw job in the Red Sea.
Similar to your namesake,
that's why
Brett the Hitman. You got the Montreal screw job.
That's why I don't watch boxing anymore, man. I really don't. Like, I stopped watching it when Mayweather was boxing. And I don't know. It doesn't have the. It was a good fight. Don't get me wrong. It was a good fight. They didn't stop a whole lot. There wasn't a whole lot of grabbing and holding close like that, like normal heavyweights do. But I don't know. I've lost interest in boxing, and last night's scorecard just turned me off even more. So I don't agree with it. I think he got hosed.
I'm happy he lost, and I'll explain why. I kind of feel that Joshua wouldn't have been the better threat at beating Tyson Fury. And I feel that in order to lure Fury back into the ring, because he has been definitely considering retirement after dominating Deontay Wilder in the last 2 fights that they had. Fight 1 could have won either way. Wilder almost scored the knockout. Usyk, to me, I feel won the championship rounds, and I consider the championship rounds 9 through 12. But, whenever you get boxing matches that are substantially close, judges look for different things. Punch percentage has always been a big one. Shots that you necessarily feel hurt the other fighter. But, I have seen a 50-50 split on people's opinions in this over social media since last night early I watched the press conference at 3 a.m. as well. But, I had mentioned this before we went on air that a lot of times when you have fights overseas, sometimes things do tend to happen that are a little more controversial than even if that happened in the States, like say in Staples or in Vegas. Idris, what do you think about all this, man?
I think the fight was close up until about the 10th round. Brett was right. I think Joshua fought a much better fight than he fought the first time.
Yes.
He was aggressive. He threw some good body. The body shots was like, wow. He was throwing
Killer.
some great body shots.
Killer.
He had a good jab. But I think, like I said, the championship rounds, when, if you're fighting the champion, you have to beat the champion.
Yeah, you got to put him down.
You got to beat the champion. And from 10, I think Joshua had a good 9th round because he was nailing Usyk. He was nailing him. I mean, those body shots were just like, But after that, it's like he seemed like he just got gassed. And from 10, 11, 12, he did have some good moments in the 12th round, but you got to win those championship rounds, man. You have to. And I think, I feel Usyk will be the better match against Fury as well. I think also with Joshua, he kind of exposed himself with his after fight statement saying, I'm not a 12-round fighter. He just basically went off on Usyk about it. I'm like, why are you going off on Usyk and telling him you're not a 12-round fighter? When you step in that ring, you have to be prepared to go 12 rounds. And from 10, 11, 12, and I don't know how Joshua won the 12th round. He had some good shots, but there was no way he won that last round. But I think it was a good decision. It was close. I just think Joshua the championship rounds, he just disappeared. And you have to win those last 3 rounds.
I'm a firm believer that when the guy has the strap, if you don't put him on the canvas, you have to convincingly, to the point where there's not a doubt in anyone's mind. And while I do think Joshua fought much better in this fight, and he showed championship pedigree with the heart towards those final rounds, I really do believe that he should be proud of himself. He has nothing to be ashamed of. And I still think he could do a lot in his career. But I don't think it would have been a better matchup with Fury. I think it's the boxer versus the boxer in this one. And I think Usyk is a guy that can actually get under Fury's style and potentially hang with him. Now, I didn't watch the UFC action last night because I was watching the boxing. But Zappy, I understand you did watch the UFC.
Yeah, and I primarily watched the last couple of fights. I was watching more of the Cowboys preseason game. But anyways, listening to everything you guys are saying right now about last night's boxing fight, having to win the championship rounds. And that's exactly what happened last night in the UFC middleweight championship between Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. They had faced off before a unanimous decision that went towards Usman. And so Leon had been wanting the rematch for a while now. And he's kind of the one guy a lot of us thought could beat Usman. Anyways, first round, they decided not to touch gloves, which was no surprise. First round early on, Usman took him down, he got back up, and then Leon fought his way to get him back down to the ground, tried getting a rear naked choke in. And, some people would argue that Usman won the first round, but I thought Edwards won the first round. But after that, Usman went to his technical style of fighting, and he won the second round. He won the third round. A boring fight after what had just happened between Luke Rockhold and Paulo Costa, which was an amazing fight. Fight. So, you asked for how can you top that fight? Well, it didn't look like that was going to happen. Then we get to the 5th round, and Kimura is winning the first 4 minutes of the 5th round. He was well on his way to defending his title, being a 7-time UFC champ, you know? And then that 58th second came, and Leon Edwards landed a beautiful kick to the face, knocked him out. And like you guys said, you got to win the championship rounds. Leon Edwards knew he was losing that fight going into the 5th round. He knew the only way he was going to come out with a W was by knocking him out or choking him out. He did it. And it was, in my opinion, one of the greatest upsets in UFC history. You know, we've seen other out-of-nowhere victories. One that comes to mind is Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva. Chael was winning that fight the whole time. Yes. And then I don't know what he was thinking, but then all of a sudden he's in a triangle and he's tapping out. You know, so that's what last night was. You know, Kimura, I don't want to say he got a little complacent, but it seemed like in his mind he thought, all right, for him to have dropped both his arms the way he did and then take that kick, it just maybe he got in his head thinking he already won, or Leon just timed it perfectly. But it was an unbelievable fight. Yeah, it might have been a little bit of both, and it was an unbelievable. Like, it was another Usman technical fight that turned into the shocker, which ended up topping the Costa Rockhold fight. So, yeah, it was an amazing fight, but just to shock the result, you know, look at everyone's reactions to it. DC, Ariane, or what's his name? Joe Rogan. So, you know, but yeah, it was a damn good fight. I honestly believe that Usman will get the immediate rematch just simply because he has been the 6-time champ and he was winning the fight. So rightfully so, I believe he will get it and he deserves it immediately.
Yeah.
What's interesting about kind of how you said that prior to the final 5th round, you know, when the 5th round was when business picked up, so to speak. And what's funny about that is, because like I said, I was keeping my eyes peeled on the boxing, and I found a lot of people on social media kind of making jokes, saying how the undercard was better, and they were using the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat Macho Man Randy Savage references about how they stole WrestleMania 3 from Hulk and Andre. So I kind of got a charge out of that. Big shout out Quentin Moore, huge wrestling fan.
Big time.
Yeah, he loves his wrestling, man. And he grew up with like the territory wrestling, you know, with a love that was shared from his grandmother. And what I found interesting, Q and I love this show Heels, which is on Amazon Prime. It really highlights how the wrestling territories are in modern day times, whereas, you know, the powers of Vince McMahon, Jim Crockett kind of squashed down the territories, but definitely a good enough show to check out, even if you're not necessarily a big wrestling fan. It's a cool show. Idris, I saw you post this on your personal page the other day, and this is something that I really want to speak about. This virtual rapper, bro, is this a culture grab? Is this, again, something that you and I often speak on when we talk hip-hop? Is this another way of yet again dumbing it down? What the fuck is this, bro? Because this shit ain't cool, but I want to know what you think.
Me, I could say a culture grab. I could say dumbing it down. I look at it. I look at it as it's a way to basically break down. I'll say dumb it down, basically, because look at the way this virtual rapper is portrayed, you know, physically.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at him.
That's the main reason why I said that. Yes.
Yeah, just look at him. It just looks stereotypical. It's
insulting on a lot of levels because I feel that they're trying to portray one particular group of people in a very stereotypical fashion.
Right.
Now, essentially, I don't have to be a black man to be offended. I'm a hip hop head.
Right.
You know, so that's offensive enough for me. I don't need to be a black man to be offended.
No, you don't. You know, it's bad because, like, hip hop. You know, I was there for, you know, when it first started. And hip hop is cultural. You know, it's cultural. I mean, you know, it's called black, white, Latino. It's cultural. But
Now,
you see the
what's this
spiritual
cat's
one,
name? FM Mecca, I believe.
Mecca, yeah. And I'm like,
Mecca with a K.
Yeah. And I look at him like this right here is nothing but something. And it may be something to affect the black community, but I also think it's going to affect the white community because got the biggest consumers are white people,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to affect that community as well because people are going to latch on to it, and I think it's just dumbing people down. It just
and we talked about this on our hip hop show. Shout out Zay Rodriguez. What really we all agreed on some level and layer is that after the tragedies that went down in the 90s, there were other rappers, but mainly I'm talking about Mr. Wallace and Mr. Shakur. I feel that in this country, it was like a must to dumb it down because I do believe on a lot of levels, the biggest nightmare for a lot of politicians, a lot of people who were pandering, trying to really, dilute the art. I believe that the worst nightmare was young people using their brains in a more positive way to really see through the bullshit.
Yep.
And I believe that what those two men brought to the table in a lot of ways, now granted, some of their, some people would accuse Tupac of being a set jumper, or some people would accuse Tupac of being, what's the word? Contradictory, for lack of a better word, because, you could drop a Brenda's Got a Baby, but then you could drop an I Get Around. But The truth is, he was all of those things, and that's just scraping the surface. When you look at his family history, how his mother was deeply embedded into the Black Panthers, even. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to unpack there. As far as Christopher Wallace goes, it's like the best underdog story you could ever ask for. Not the best looking dude, heavy set, from Brooklyn, very intelligent. So, They portrayed it in the movie well. When I weigh the two movies, I kind of lean towards, I think Biggie's movie was better put together. Yeah. The character that played Biggie was actually in both movies. Yep. But getting back to this, yeah, definitely a culture grab for sure. But I do believe that, people gotta see past this because it's a lot more important than people realize, and it's like any other form of music. Quit stealing the shit, because to be quite frank with you, enough music has been stolen. You know where I'm going with that.
I think, my final words are, I think it's going to make black people dumber, and it's going to pull that white suburban kid and make him even. Because what I seen, like in the '90s, late '80s, '90s, you had Public Enemy and all that. And, it was bringing people together, and it started bringing more white kids together into the culture to where it was all of us together, us black, white, we were all together. And I always said during that period is when they started to say, okay, we got to stop this shit.
Yeah.
These kids are coming together. These are suburban
and that's the sad thing.
Suburban kids were coming down like, hey, we're down with you, and we were all together. We got to stop this shit.
And the sad thing, too, is like you even go back to like, not even the same genre, but if you're talking about like the 70s disco era, that was a time where, if you look, just people were so comfortable around each other from all walks of life.
No matter where you came from. Right?
And, it bleeds into politics now. It bleeds into a lot of other things. And that's a whole another fucking can of worms. But
music is supposed to bring us together, man. But it's like they're trying to divide us through music now.
And I'll tell you something, bro. Like Brett and I will crack jokes about the Beastie Boys, but the truth of the matter is that when you are at the hip hop honors and you see the Wu-Tang Clan honor the Beastie Boys, Eminem was quoted as saying, "Oh shit, I could do this." Yeah. So even if you look at the Beastie Boys, they got a place in history too, which is
I love the Beastie Boys.
I do too, bro.
Yeah, yes you do.
Love them dudes.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
Love them.
But to your point, that's what it is. Like hip hop doesn't have a face. Hip hop doesn't have a complexion, and that's what pisses me off with the way that they're pitching this shit.
Right. It's a culture. There's no color in
sir.
culture. It's a culture.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Moving it along to something else that is pissing off somebody else.
Yeah.
Aaron Boone, I really dove into his interview. I watched it multiple times because when things are bad as a sports fan, you want to like latch onto whatever you could to kind of find that heartbeat. And I like what Aaron Boone did. As many of you know, the Yankees going into today's ball game are only 3-14 since the All-Star break. This is a team that entering July, a lot of people viewed them as potentially being the greatest regular season team of all time and also the greatest Yankee team. Greatest regular season team is the 0-1 Seattle Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest team in terms of winning, when playoffs included, would be the 98 Yankees.
Right.
This team has nosedived, and there's a lot of reasons to kind of identify where did it go wrong. Injuries always play a part. You have key injuries to key people. The Michael King injury stands out to me as the most detrimental one to this team. When you make deadline deals, it takes time for guys to get comfortable in the clubhouse, get comfortable in the new city. And this isn't like getting traded to Kansas City or getting traded to Arizona. I mean, this is the mecca of baseball. This is the cathedral. And those fans are going to let you know if they're not happy.
Right on.
Well, my thing with this is, I mean, yeah, they haven't been performing well. They won today, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pop's
It
anniversary.
was a good game today.
They won.
Yeah.
No, they did. You know, they've been having the same issue that they've had for the past 6 years, and that is runners in scoring position and leaving them on base and not capitalizing on it. That has been an ongoing issue for more than a few years. Like,
Great point.
They're
Great
not,
point.
They're not capitalizing.
By the way,
great
Giants
point.
won 25-22.
Like, it's ridiculous. You know, like they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Like, I don't even know what the ratio is of them leaving guys stranded on base.
Well, I'm going to answer that for you real quick before you continue your sentence. They are in danger of breaking a record for the most runners left in scoring position in any baseball season. They are in danger.
Ridiculous.
And you know, dude, pitchers get grittier and tougher. And you know, there's a reason why it's harder and why it's more valuable on the back of your trading card or at the contract talks and all of it. Because getting hits with 2 outs, getting hits with guys on is tougher because pitchers pitch you different.
Right.
And you got to use more than just your physical abilities. You got to use your noodle.
Yep.
You know, there's
Everything.
a lot to it.
Everything. There's a lot of mental errors involved. You know, they're not capitalizing at all, and it's hurting them. And you know, Chapo, you know, I don't know what the hell's going on with him. I think there's something not right up here with him.
Yes, I tend to agree.
Yeah.
And he's not coming through. You know, I mean, our starting 5, you know, like they're not playing their best ball. They're really not.
Nestor looked like first half Nestor today. I will say that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean first half
He
played
looked
great.
like the guy in the beginning of the year. I'm talking May, June-ish. That a lot of people were saying this could be a Cy Young Award winner. He could be the starter for the AL. Zap, Idris, what are your thoughts on what has really driven this Yankee team from elite status to holy shit? By the way, the 4-14 after the W today, worst in Major League Baseball since the return to baseball after the All-Star game. Unreal, dude. Unreal.
Here's that.
Honestly, I mean, we can look at a lot of things here. Brett brought up a good point. They are leaving a lot of runners stranded. Another example that it's not just their pitching woes, it's their hitting woes, is look at Aaron Judge. The guy's 4 for his last 32 or something like that.
That pressure of that home run record starting to eat on him.
Yeah. And at one point, he was flirting with the idea of getting to 73. We were talking about him getting to 68, 67, 66 area. And now he's not even on pace to break Roger Maris's record. So, it's to me, a lot of this, you point back and look at Aaron Boone. And I think I don't think the players are responding to him anymore. You look at Frankie Montes. The guy's had 3 starts with you guys. He's allowed 14 earned runs or something like that. He's not pitching good either.
That's a bit of a shock.
The pitching's not there. Yeah, and you know what?
Montes is a good pitcher.
You guys have,
and you get the Sonny Gray vibes,
pitcher,
and you get worried.
Yeah, and we're gonna find out a lot about him as he faces off with DeGrom on Tuesday. So
DeGrom and Scherzer back to back.
That's
Scherzer
tomorrow.
Back to back.
That's a gut check series. That's a character defining series. Idris, I want to hear what you got. What was the turn point for this Yankee team in terms of nosediving?
We're not hitting, man.
For a slump.
We're not hitting. Yeah, we're due for a slump, but we're not hitting. Pitching, hot and cold, chappy. I don't know what's going on with him. Like I said, like Brett said, it's something up here. I don't know what's going on with him. He's just like what? A couple of games ago, we're up. He gives up 3 runs. Good thing we had a grand slam.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, we were done. We were dead in the water.
He's got that. He's got that Rick the Wild Thing Vaughn thing going on with him, bro.
Yeah,
it's all psychological.
Yeah. And Hicks, I don't know.
Dude, my namesake is trash.
Yeah, he's just coming to the plate. He's not doing anything. Judge, I think the home run thing is weighing on him. He's got a lot of base on balls. He's just swinging, and I think we're not. It's like when we get people on base, scoring position. Yeah, pitchers pitch differently in the situations, but it's like we're not trying to just make contact. It's like we're trying to get the big hit, like to make contact. We're not even bunting, man. I mean, come on. We're just
my late grandfather was a baseball purist. He was a Cubs fan.
Yeah.
But I guess his second team you could probably say would be the Yanks, and that shit used to drive him crazy when guys just wouldn't bunt. And, my grandfather dabbled in the minor leagues for a decent amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of baseball IQ, but my father used to fuck with my grandpa and be like, Pop, calm down. You have Babe Ruth bunting. Because, that's the coach versus the coach, so to speak. They're both guys that coached. But, man, my grandfather didn't have the patience to be a great coach, but he was a great player.
Neither did Pops.
With a lot of
Pops didn't have patience either. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but my Pops coached me, though, and he got results. My grandfather would have never had the patience with some of the knuckleheads that we had.
No, bunting moves the runner, man.
Absolutely.
Just move the runner. Move the runner.
Yeah, it's a fluidity that's missing.
Yeah, move the runner.
That's why I put it back on Aaron Boone.
Yeah.
Look at this, guys. You guys have 40 games left in the season. Both the Rays and the Blue Jays are now 8 games out. They are in striking distance.
Insurmountable.
It's not. You guys have 40 games left, and the way the trend has been lately is you guys are winning 1 game each series. Meaning, in your last 13 series, you're going to win 13 games.
Right.
Like, come on.
You're going to catch us.
They're getting caught right now. They're getting caught. And here's the thing they need to realize is all year long before this slump, they always had the pleasure of having a big 15-game lead on a team, no matter what. And now let's fast forward to, it's a real nice cushion where it allows error. But then when the error continues, I mean, these guys, they don't have room to make mistakes anymore. The Mets, I don't see them winning a game against the Mets the next few days. It's hard. I think
we're in trouble.
A few weeks ago, you guys didn't want to sound the alarm. I think it's time to sound it for sure.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Before we all lose our shit, I'm just going to say this in closing on the Yankees. 2 things. They won today. They played a game that looked like a real Yankee game of the first half. It's only one game. They just got their blue collar. Well said. They got their ass handed to them by their division rivals, the Blue Jays, 3 out of 4. So this isn't something I'm going to do a backflip about. And I do want to make 2 mentions. It's weird, bro. As many of you know, this is my father's birthday week as well as his death week. Today, he passed away 5 years ago. His birthday was 4 days before that. The Yankees won on both those days, and they have been utter fucking shit in between that. And I'm going to share the story quickly. Zappy and I are on the phone. And I couldn't get the game because here in Florida, the game was blacked out with the Rays, even though I do have a major league package. So long story short, we're in trouble after Chapman gives up a back-breaking double that just cleared the bases.
What else is new?
Right. So we take it. So I asked Zappy to look on his MLB app, and I'm like, bro, who's coming up? Judge was the ghost runner at second. I believe it was Rizzo, Torres, and then Donaldson, if I'm not mistaken. And I basically called stationary movement on the bases, Donaldson slam. And Zappy, and I quote him, was like, bro, if you're right about that, you need to take your ass to Vegas and spend some time there. Lo and behold, Josh Donaldson walk-off grand slam.
Slam it.
Emotional win, even if it wasn't my dad's birthday because of the fact that I'm a Yankee diehard. Yeah. But the fact that it was my father's birthday, I also like how they responded today. Happens to be the 21st. Also happened to be Paul O'Neill Day, who was one of my dad's favorite players.
Yep.
So quality win today, but on some humble pie shit, the best team in New York is coming to the Bronx tomorrow. It's not going to be easy, but it's not insurmountable. I expect 2 good games, no matter how much shit my brother Richard Dorney's talking. Going to move it along to the New York Knicks. I'll give my 2 cents in 2 seconds, short and sweet. Danny Ainge is asking for way too much. But Donovan Mitchell, that's all I got. 7 picks, 6 picks, 8 picks, anything in that neighborhood, out of his fucking mind. And Danny Ainge is a great GM, and there's a reason because of the way that he's going about this. Whoever wants to chime in first, I like that Leon Rose is like, nah, dog, calm that shit down.
Mine is brief. Same thing. Danny Ainge can basically eat a dick. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, okay.
Listen, they want how many picks? 7?
6 first rounders.
6. Okay, you're listen, you're not getting LeBron, you're not getting Kobe, you're not getting MJ. You know, like you're asking for 6 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell, who has not gone past the second round in playoffs since he came in the league.
Exactly.
So I'm not. I can't even fathom what Utah is.
Have a good night, Brittany.
I mean, if they combine that with Rudy Gobert, sure, I can see making a deal.
Gobert's gone.
I know, but I'm.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like hypothetical.
Oh, you're playing the hypothetical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Like going into here, like if Gobert was still a member of the roster.
Yes, 100%.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like it's a package deal. Like you just, if you're asking for Jordan and Pippen and for 6 first rounders, sure, absolutely,
right.
Done deal. But you're asking for Donovan fucking Mitchell, 6 picks first round. I can't even.
And the problem really isn't even the picks. We're talking about NBA picks, which let's be real. NBA picks are not like the NFL. Most of them are misses. Most players turn into role players, and they'll have their hand on something. The big deal is the Knicks are willing to give up those 6 picks, but they're willing to give up Julius Randle. They want JT Barrett in return.
Right.
That
right.
That's where you got to ask yourself.
Right.
I think this deal's going to get done. I think you guys need to accept it. It's going to get done. It's going to get done in a matter of time because of the simple fact that Utah is trying to position themselves for that number 1 pick to get that guy out of France.
They're trying to tank it out.
And as far as New York, if you think about it, they're a Donovan Mitchell away from being back to that competitive top 4 Eastern team. So they both kind of need each other. So I don't think the argument is really the 6 draft picks. The argument is the players involved. If you want JT Barrett, well, you're going to have to add a little more than just Donovan Mitchell. Exactly. You're going to have to, you're going to have to add something. If you want JT Barrett and you want someone else, cool. You got to add something else. Because
Zap, I gotta interrupt you 1 second. It's RJ.
JT played quarterback.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. RJ Barrett. Sorry. JT
you were having your CTE football moment.
RJ Barrett. And what's funny is before the show, I was talking to RJ Barrett.
That's okay, buddy. I enjoy it. I was like, I'm gonna see how many times he says it before I get him.
You got the J right though, so hey.
But no, RJ. Yeah, so if you're asking for an RJ Barrett, you've gotta up the return. That's just what it comes down to.
To be honest with you, man, I don't even want Donovan Mitchell.
Really?
I really don't want him. I'm gonna tell you why. The same reason he's in Utah now. What has he done? You bring him to our team, okay? He may be, playmaker. I'd rather grow with Barrett, man. I'll just be honest with you. I don't want
to part with RJ.
I don't want to part with him.
They can fucking take Juju. I got no issue with that.
They take Randall. I'll give him Randall and whatever. A couple of hot dogs or whatever y'all want, but not RJ. Because, because Donovan Mitchell had a team and he can't get past the second round.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the killer instinct in him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And he's had some injury issues also. I don't want him.
I would hold on. I wouldn't say he does not have the killer instinct in him.
He doesn't.
No,
he doesn't.
I'm not going to say that. No,
he doesn't.
I won't. Have you seen the man dunk?
That's not killer instinct.
He has
to dunk. Steph Curry can dunk.
Dunking is not. He doesn't know how to finish them.
Not like that.
Mute button in 3.
Whatever. Fuck you.
Is 2 points. I need somebody who's gonna get the ball and say, look, I need somebody like that's gonna take over. Like, okay, we're down by 10 points. I'm about to bring us back.
And that's the same argument. Yeah, and that's the same argument you have with Devin Booker.
Right.
That they're very similar players.
Right.
If Donovan Mitchell finished series, if he the last 7 minutes of the game took over day in and day out and was a big difference in the playoffs, absolutely. But he doesn't have that killer instinct. He can't be your number one guy.
You know who will do that? I know that RJ Barrett will take over.
Yeah,
he will take over.
Jump shot has gotten better gradually.
He will take over.
I don't want to quit on that. And this is a Knick thing that they always fucking do. Yep. Going back to the Melo trade.
Yeah.
Where they gave them everything, including the fucking VCR, to get Melo because they were petrified that Melo was going to go to Brooklyn with the Russian billionaire and with Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm. You just say VCR.
Barrett might have a cold spell in the end, but he's going to make that
too.
He's going to go. He's going to try. He's going to try to bring him back. He may miss him, but he's going to make that effort. Donovan Mitchell disappears. I need someone who's going to at least, if he's going to shoot 20 shots and miss 20 shots, I want to see him go for it. Kobe
I'm not saying I don't want him. I just don't want him under those circumstances for what they're asking, but it would be very Knick-like. Last thing I want to say on the Knicks, on some good news, it does appear that there is a substantial possibility that James Dolan could be selling the team. I'm praying that that's the truth because after what he did to Charles Oakley, it took everything within me to not quit on the Knicks because of the disrespect that he showed, a man that bled and sweat for that team during some of the most fun times for Knicks fans. So fuck you, James Dolan, for that.
2 times.
LeBron James's final deal more than likely took a 2-year extension to remain with the Lakers, where I imagine he will probably retire. Maybe hanging out a little bit to see if Bronny and him have that potential playing against each other or playing with each other. What are your thoughts on this final deal for LeBron, and what are your thoughts on his maturity as he ages gracefully versus a Kevin Durant who's not really kept in adversity?
I think with LeBron, I think he's just staying there, family and everything. He's in LA, just shut it down. I don't see him winning anything, and it's not being a LeBron hater. The West is too deep, too young, and the Lakers are strapped with cash, strapped for cash. They don't have any draft picks. I think it's just a thing. I'm gonna finish a Laker, increase my brand out here, Hollywood, whatever, blah 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 blah, and hopefully my son can play with me. But that's all.
I mean, I get it. Well, I mean, what father wouldn't want to play with their son if they were able to?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, actually.
Because it's not being a hater, but they're not winning anything for the next 2 years.
Nope.
They're
Right.
not. They're not winning
Right.
anything. That's
No,
it. That's what I know.
That how much was the deal? It was 100 and
Oh
no,
man.
90,
it didn't-
97
it didn't-
million.
97. Yeah, it didn't crack 100.
I can't even. It number one, it's LeBron. I get it. He's a brand name.
Mhm.
All his businesses are out in California.
Yeah,
He's making more money third party than he is with a contract.
Right.
no doubt.
So,
a lot of guys do that. Look at Michael Jordan.
No,
Mhm.
I know. So like I get why he signed. Yeah, I think he'll retire Laker. I agree with Idris. Depending on what Bronny does.
Mhm.
I don't want to talk about LeBron anymore. I don't.
Good, because I wanted
don't.
to veer it over. That's perfectly timed because I wanted to veer it over
I don't.
kind of quickly to compare it. to
I hope
all
it's
the
his
drama.
final. The thing is, I hope it's his final deal with the NBA.
Yeah.
I honestly don't want to see him after he retires with the NBA. I don't want to see him sign a new deal with CBS. I don't want to sign. I just don't want to see the guy. I don't want to see him
All
anymore.
right, we're gonna veer this over to Kevin Durant. And the reason
I'm done,
for a
man.
guy that don't want to talk about him,
Done with him.
to stop talking
No,
about him.
let me
Fucking done
before
with
you
him.
veer to KD and have somebody else go off. I'm gonna say I believe this is his final deal where it's gonna be a superstar salary.
He's earned that.
I don't believe it's his final deal though. I think he's gonna have one more deal, and it's gonna probably be with the team that drafts his son. His son. We're waiting for him to announce who he's going to
That
play
makes
college
sense.
at.
I didn't think about it like that, but that makes sense.
So there's a lot of that's what I think on more is.
I just want him to play longer than Brady. That's all. But
Don't make this a
I really
personal
don't have-
attack.
I really don't either. But I just want to break his balls. I'm going to make this short and sweet about KD because I want him to save a little bit of time for us for start bench cut and a little story I want to tell. But KD, this is everything that LeBron is not. No, am I the biggest LeBron fan? Absolutely not. But what I'm saying, how I open this is LeBron is aging gracefully. His resume is intact. No, he's not Michael Jordan, nor should he be. They don't fucking play the same position. I'm tired of that comparison. I don't even want to go there.
Yeah.
LeBron is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. He is anywhere between 4 and 10. It depends on what you value with his skill set. Bottom line, as far as KD goes, short and sweet. We touched on it last week with the bickering and the bullshit in Brooklyn. When you're set jumping like that, and even when you won your 2 championships, that you had the facilitator in Curry, who that was his team. I'm sorry, dude, you haven't done shit yet. Shut your mouth, deal with adversity, and be a champion.
Let me ask you a question. If you were Brooklyn, what would you do? With me, I wouldn't trade him. You signed the contract.
Fuck no, I would. They got this bridge over there. I probably would have jumped off it if I was Brooklyn. But no, seriously, dude, I wouldn't appease him at all. I would make it hard. Even if it fucks them in the immediate future, I would still be like, fuck you, dude. You came here, we waited for you to heal,
We gave you
and now
everything
you're
you
being a bitch because things aren't going your way. But that
give
is
you
unfortunately the mindset.
We gave
And
you
I
a
give
coach,
LeBron some credit.
everything.
He's hanging at least. LeBron could go chase
I
more
give-
rings.
If I'm Brooklyn, I'm calling his bluff.
Yeah.
You're going to retire? Go ahead. We're not trading you. We're not cutting you. Go ahead and
Right.
retire.
Go ahead.
You unretire, you still belong to us.
Right.
Right.
I
Right.
call that bluff unless it's some team, that one team.
Buy a
comes and
fucking razor with
blows
all the
him
money
away.
you got. Looking like
Yeah,
shit,
it's-
bro.
But
Looking
no,
like
he's
looking like fucking Pookie out there. Get the fuck out of here.
no. I
That
just
dude
I don't
needs-
think Brooklyn trades him.
Doubt out
Think
Chris.
about it. There's no way they trade him. They can't.
Nah.
Because what happens once he starts holding out, missing games? All right, we're gonna fine you. We're gonna get some of our money back either way. So he signed that contract. They waited for him gracefully. They talked him out of leaving Golden State. They ensured he was healed up before he came back.
Gave him everything he wanted.
They gave him everything he wanted. No way in hell are they going to screw themselves over and just let him go. No way.
You either play or you retire.
Yeah, that's it.
peace. Thanks for the memories. Go
Right.
fuck yourself.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we're going to veer it over to start, bench, cut. I'm going to give each of the three of you 90 seconds. But we're doing this a little different because of the fact that we do have a 3-man panel. I delegated two former Packer legends, one current one, as 3 of my dad's favorite Packer players. Now, of course, he loved, you could go the Ray Nitschkes, the Jimmy Taylors, players from yesteryear that even he would have to go to the video room to go see more the highlights, the Bart Stars, etc., etc. I wanted to keep it on guys that I saw him watch. And there were other names that came along, whether it be a Clay Matthews, whether it be a Donald Driver. There were a lot of players, but I tried to go with the cream of the crop when it came to these 3 players. Reggie White for Zappy, Brett Favre for Idris, Aaron Rodgers for Brett. I got my reasons. Brett, you get to go first.
Oh, I'm going first.
Number 12. Aaron Rodgers, 90 seconds right now. Go.
All right. Just relax, boys. Just relax. AKA hashtag Aaron Rodgers. That's his phrase. Just relax. Listen, this man is a 4-time MVP, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, 10-time Pro Bowler. He also won the Bart Starr Award back in 2014, which is one of Pops' favorite players of all time. The man's got it all. Went out to college out in Cali. He's one of the greats. As much as I bash on the guy, as much as I don't like his accolades on and off the field, he's proved me wrong time and time again. And he's a great one. Is he the GOAT? Is he the GOAT? No.
What does he need, Brett? What does he need to get into that next level? The reason I asked the question is because this is about selling it. What does he need to have it all complete? Because we know he's a Hall of Famer, and we know he's got the stats. What does he need?
At the end of the day, he needs at least 2 more championships and MVPs to go along with it, and another Super Bowl MVP. He's been in the league since 2005. He was drafted in 2005. He's been in the league 17 years.
All right.
He has time to do it. He has the time to do it.
Idris, you're up.
Brett Favre, face of the franchise. When you think about the frozen tundra, when you think about how hard it was to win in Green Bay, you think of Brett Favre. Charisma, everything, toughness, never missed games, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 championship. Even in the one he lost, he had a chance to take it downfield, just didn't have enough time. NFC Championship game, something that Aaron Rodgers just can't seem to get back to. Brett Favre carried that team. He had a white for defense, but Brett Favre is Brett Favre, man. He's Green Bay, unless you go back to Bart Starr. It's Brett Favre. That's it. That's the face of the league, man.
Iron Man. And he was the face of the league prior to the great Tom Brady. Yeah. Zappy, you're up.
So Reggie White. I know we're talking about Reggie White as a Green Bay Packer, but let's be real with each other, guys. This is a guy that was an all-decades team for the 80s and 90s. The guy was a 2-time sack leader. He was second in the NFL all-time sacks behind Bruce Smith by 2 sacks, but Bruce Smith played 46 more games than Reggie White. Reggie White, when I think of Reggie White, I think of him running down the field after that Super Bowl victory with the Patriots, and I think of how much of a Packer he was.
Making the Lombardi Trophy look really small.
Making the Lombardi Trophy look really small. The guy was a phenomenal player. We're talking about one of the greatest defensive players to ever play the game. And if he had played a few more games, he'd be the all-time sack leader. It's hard to knock on the guy. Yeah, he was an Eagle, and I mean, I hate the Eagles, but let's be real. This
As
is
do we,
honestly
all of us.
one of the one of the greatest players. You know, just his accolades he has collected over his career, including his time in Tennessee. You can't knock on the guy. In his 14th year, he's still getting 16 sacks with the Green Bay Packers. I mean, that's a guy that had a motor running, and when he wanted to win, he knew how to help out and finish it off, unlike other Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre.
Awesome. I love all the points that each of you made. There is no winner tonight. I wanted to bring attention to these three players and see how you guys could adapt to just killing it. Brett, great job on being like, why do I have to give this guy so much props? Zappy, that's cool. I like how you spoke.
I hate myself. I'm not going to say
the comparison with Bruce and Reggie and how many more games it took Bruce. You just nailed it, the quintessential Iron Man, face of the franchise as well as face of the league. That being Mr. Brett Favre. We're gonna move it.
I'm sorry. Can I
talk?
Number one.
Go.
Idris had a good one. Brett Favre. The one game that stands out to me with Brett Favre is the game after his dad passed away.
Damn.
The Monday night game
against the Raiders.
Yes.
I was in Puerto Rico watching that game with my dad.
Showed up.
And
100%. That is the. I don't even give a shit about the Super Bowl win. That game was the most exciting and emotional game I've ever been a part of in my life. And,
unforgettable. And you gotta give props. You gotta give props to the Raider fans. At that time, they were playing in Oakland, giving Favre a really warm reception on one of the hardest days of his life, and I think that speaks volumes on the Raiders fan base, and that was pretty damn cool. And I'm gonna give props to another fan base. Talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Brett and I spoke about this just a couple of nights ago. First games back after 9/11, giving the New York Football Giants a standing O in Arrowhead. I think it speaks volumes about the kind of fans that they are. I do want to speak on my father briefly. We're dedicating this show to him today. My father, in addition to being my coach in pretty much every sport at like the influential ages when you're coming up, my old man was a very unselfish person. He was the type of dude that when it came to Pee Wee football, he wanted to make sure that every kid had the best puncher's chance to do something good with themselves. He often paid for kids' equipment that maybe were single mom situations where they just couldn't afford it, but he wanted them on the football field as opposed to on the streets. Today, 5 years ago, undoubtedly, one of the worst day of my life. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The worst day of my life. But I will say this, being his son and being 5 years removed from losing my dad, I'm incredibly proud of just all of it, all the lessons and just the kind of man he was and what he stood for. As far as what he did, my father, prior to being a member of the New York City Police Department, worked in JFK Airport. That's where he met my mom. And I guess for the 8 minutes that they were getting along, that's where I got along. Just playing, Mom.
Yeah.
You guys
No,
co-parented.
no, he's not. He's telling the truth.
You guys co-parented. You guys co-parented really. You guys co-parented really well, and I appreciate you. And I also want to give a shout out to my stepmom, Irene, and my stepdad, Eddie. I couldn't have asked for better step-parents, and I appreciate all of you. As far as my dad goes with his career choice, my father would come down from heaven and smack me in the face if I dare call him a hero. He lived that day. A lot of people didn't. Talking about 9/11 as a first responder. We were concerned because we couldn't get in touch with him. And I was coming from school, and basically everything in the car, you could not hear too many stations. You're talking Howard Stern, the House of Representatives station, and me and Idris's Hot 97. But a lot of stations were down. Quite frankly, I didn't know if my dad was all right. I didn't know much, but at the time it was me and my grandfather downstairs, my younger sister who was a toddler at the time, along with my stepmom upstairs. Big 2-family house on the outskirts of Long Island, damn near touching Queens. He came home. We had a drink, a few. And my grandfather and I literally helped that man bathe because he was in rough shape and he saw things that, quite frankly, nobody should have seen. I just want to say that I'm incredibly proud of the man my dad was. And, doing this show is a huge inspiration. His existence is a huge inspiration to me and why I love doing this. My father was influential in making me love sports and not just playing them, but watching them. And even though he wasn't a New York Giants fan, my father is probably most responsible for me being this educated on my football team when I was young. Because even though my old man wanted me to be a Packer fan, he schooled me on Giants history, even going back to like the Yankee Stadium days. And, my old man would be harsh on the Giants, maybe because of the fact that they let Vince Lombardi walk. But oddly enough, my old man was actually a big fan of Strahan and Eli. He used to love to make fun of Eli with the 2 left feet thing and the many faces of Eli that even as Giant fans we endearingly make fun of. It's amazing because like my father knew these 2 guys down below on the camera, and I think one of the best compliments when you miss somebody and just thinking about like impact he had on a lot of people is that a lot of my friends still bring him up and still talk about him and still mimic him and still, just say funny shit that he used to do. And I think that's one of the greatest ways to keep people alive. And all I want to say is 5 years later, I miss you, Dad. And I'm very proud today, just as much as any other day in my life, to be your son and to be your namesake. On that note, I think we're going to be getting out of here. Guys, an amazing show tonight. And I just want to say that I think this is really cool. I think we smashed a lot of these topics. And this was a lot of fun, man. Anybody that wants to hang, we have an idea about a next video. I will let you guys discuss that as soon as we get off the air. But until next time, you good, Brett?
I'm good, baby. Good. Good. I love you guys. I miss Pops. He'd be proud of everything that we're doing. So.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Go ahead, Zach.
Honestly, man, I wanted to add just, the other night when we were on the phone, that was one of a great moment for the 2 of us.
Yeah, it was cool.
Telling you, the Yankees came back. They hit the grand slam. You didn't believe me. And
I thought because you play a lot.
And to sit there and it was like, man, it kind of feels like your father was there, and I know he's looking down on you, proud of what you're doing, this podcast here with everyone. But I appreciate to having to take a shot together the other night on behalf of your dad, man. It's an honor. Like it really is.
I appreciate that, and I love that you guys knew him. I hate that Idris didn't. But one thing I know about my father is that he was very worldly when it came to the way that he just looked at all of it. And he was a very complicated person at the same time.
But you know what?
Because
I've learned a lot about him through your pictures on Facebook. Because I look at them all and I you made a joke about how that's Robert De Niro and you'll see with that one photo where you got I think you had the
you were clowning hard on that one. Yeah.
That's Lil C.
Yeah,
that's Lil C. That's Lil
from
C.
that day on, I've been every time you share a picture, I look and I'm like, oh man, that's it's making that connection. Like, okay, yeah. It's great.
And that's I appreciate that, man. And like I said, that's the inspiration for why I do this show. We're gonna be back in just a bit, possibly. We're gonna let you know what we're doing. I'm Richie. He's Idris. He's Zappy. He's Brett. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, Dad.